Brexiteer Syed Kamal argued many Remainer myths have already been debunked. Academic and research director for IEA Syed Kamal claimed Remainer myths have already been busted despite the UK still being technically tied to the EU. During an interview with Express, Mr. Kamal reflected on two specific Brexit myths he remembers Remainers spouting since the 2016 referendum. He also claimed that of the opposite of these myths was true. Mr. Kamal said, "There was also this thing about not being able to travel to the EU countries. I remember being told by someone who was a Remainer that his son had got a French passport. I asked him why and he said so he can travel to France after Brexit and I just said come on. Even though we are leaving, people will still be able to travel to other countries. You can currently travel to many non-EU countries. In fact, it is COVID-19 that is stopping people from traveling, not Brexit." Mr. Kamal also highlighted another myth he felt was ridiculous that has been disproven. He said, "Another one I remember is people said nobody would want to sign trade agreements with the UK. If you look at what the Department of International Trade are up to, they are having discussions with the EU but also the US, CTTP and the Transatlantic Partnership. They are signing full trade agreements or are in discussions for trade agreements." Mr. Kamal also highlighted the flexibility of those willing to trade with the UK. He said, "When I used to speak to trade ministers before and I used to ask them what their view on Brexit was, many of them would say they would rather the UK didn't leave the EU. But they would also say if you do leave the EU, of course, we will want to sign a trade agreement with the UK." I think those are some of the main myths that even now you can say they have been busted. Current Brexit trade deal talks with the EU had appeared to have come to a standstill following Boris Johnson's October 15 ultimatum to the EU. After this date, Mr. Johnson insisted that businesses needed to prepare for no-deal situation or Australian solution to talks. However, Boris Johnson is expected to give the European Union one final opportunity to agree a Brexit trade deal with the UK, despite the closeness of the end of the transition period.